Tragic.
Two to the one, one to the three. I like good pussy and I like good trees. Smoke so much weed.
Hey guys, it's Holy Astronauts here, coming at you again with another video to tell you that drugs are bad. Don't do drugs. As you guys know, if you even follow Kpop remotely, or if you're an iKONic or YG stan or whatever the heck you are, BI of iKON is no longer of iKON. He was kicked out of his group and the agency for attempting to buy and supposedly use drugs, weed, and LSD. So YG's dealer has been under investigation, and it was seen in 2016 that BI was talking to the dude about, acquiring some of that green stuff, some of the devil's grass. Weed is highly illegal in Korea. Amongst every other drug, there is also very illegal, which is what I'm here to talk about. I'm not here to say that drugs are good. I'm here to say that how Korea handles drugs and mental health is very, very damaging. So the full story is that BI in 2016, when he was 20, was under a lot of pressure. He was under a lot of mental stress. Clearly, if you follow iKON, you could see this. This was when iKON wasn't doing so well. They had a lot of expectations on them. They weren't meeting the expectations that YG had for them as their boy group, as their second Big Bang. People were calling them YG's failure group, the flops of YG. They just weren't doing it. BI, the leader, he was supposed to be the next G-Dragon. It wasn't working out for him. So the boy was under a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. He is the main producer and songwriter of iKON, and his songs were making the hits and making the sales that YG expected of him. I can't even imagine that pressure, but it's like being a complete failure, but everybody is watching you as you're, self-destructing. So the boy stressed out, probably saw some people in YG, because YG is known as the pharmacy, and we've had many drug scandals in YG. So probably not in YG, probably in like other media, but he probably saw that weed could probably distress him and make him think better and make him just not feel like killing himself. So he reaches out to the drug dealer that that is under investigation. He reaches out to the dude and asks him for some weed and some LSD. You can see through the text that BI did not actually go through with the LSD thing, and he was getting cold feet asking about weed. So he didn't actually buy any drugs from this guy. All he did was talk to the guy about buying drugs. This is something that almost every stressed out young adult with money does. And I give BI props that even if he was going through this horrible mental health crisis, lowest points in his life, he did not turn to drugs. Like, he was thinking about it, he almost did, but he was too scared to. He was like, no, I can't do this. Like, he was thinking about other repercussions about, actually using drugs. He's like, this could probably ruin my group, this wouldn't help me. He was being pressured. He was so close to acquiring it, but then he chose the right choice. So what is the reward he gets for not doing drugs? Instead of having a pat on the back and giving speeches in schools, hey kids, I almost did drugs. I know how hard it can be, but don't do it. There are other ways to not make you want to kill yourself than drugs. He could be like the spokesperson of don't do drugs, kids. I made it through, so can you. That's what any sane country would do, but instead we're talking about South Korea. So what do they do to a young man who decides not to do drugs? They punish him. They ruin his entire career. They treat him like a known criminal. They treat him like he's the dealer themselves. They treat him like he has been taking heroin, crack cocaine, PCP, opium, and all the other types of drugs you can probably take. They're like, get the fuck out of this company, get out of this group. You are a stain on society, and feel shame. Shame on you for even thinking about doing drugs. And I'm like, bro, that's fucked up. This kid, when he was 20, and I'm gonna call him a kid because he's around my age and I see myself as a kid. So he was 20 years old and he's about to have a mental breakdown, and he decides to take some weed to calm down. But then he was like, no, I don't need weed. I'm stronger than that. And finds other ways to help him calm down and not lose his mind. And as a result, he's treated like a criminal. That's not okay. They're ignoring the main problem here. The main problem being the mental state he was in when he chose to go about acquiring drugs, and exactly how did he overcome that. That's what they should be focusing on here. Not the fact that he tried to buy drugs. That's not important. I'm pretty sure every Korean teen and young adults, especially seeing how their school system is, every one of those rich ass kids has tried to buy drugs or probably does do drugs. They are not as strong as Hanbin to like say no, I don't need it, because they're not gonna face the same repercussions he would face if they got caught. Their parents are gonna cover it up. Hanbin knows exactly the results that could happen if he ever got caught doing drugs, and he does not want to. He loves his group too much to do that to them, so he was like, no, I'm gonna go through this, I'm gonna be stronger than this, and I'm not going to do it. All these people who are criticizing him, they know that this is the reality, that I'm pretty sure like the kids of Korea understand Hanbin. Like, he is not a single case, especially in the entertainment industry. Just generally, he's not a single case, but that's not what the public is focusing on. But that's what they should be focusing on. How can we like help our kids' mental state? How can we help these stressed out teenagers and young adults not to turn to drugs or suicide? Because Korea was at the top of the list of most suicides in the world. They've lowered a bit, but they're still pretty high up there. I think they're like 5th or 6th place right now. And instead of saying how can we really focus on these young people's mental health, they're saying that celebrities get away with everything or some stupid shit like that. They're not focusing on the real problem here. The real issue here is that Hanbin overcame a mental health crisis when he could have turned to drugs, and nobody cares about that. Instead, they're punishing him as though that's going to help any other person do the same thing he did. That's just gonna back more people who are going through what he's going through into a wall, and then they only think they have one option, which is to suck it up, live your life miserably until you kill yourself one day. Because nobody wants to talk about mental health. They always say, oh, this idol is taking time off because, you know, of mental health issues, and on TV like, oh, mental health is so important. But I don't really think that the Korean public understands just like what mental health is and like what mental disorders are or psychiatric disorders are. I don't think they understand. Two prominent cases. One, we're gonna talk about the less horrible one, which is the case of Park Bum, who has ADHD, and how she was tormented, ridiculed by the public. Now, if this was done by one person or like a one news site, it wouldn't be a problem. But the entire public of Korea, apparently at the time, did not know that ADHD was a thing or that it was the thing that existed. So Park Bum gets medicine from the US, where she's from, that is prescribed to her by her doctor for her ADHD and her PTSD that she's going through. And those medicines are illegal in Korea. That's understandable. I have ADHD and I couldn't bring my ADHD meds to Japan because it's illegal there. I get it. But the thing is that even when explained to the public, she didn't know it was legal. Her mom didn't know it was legal, and her mom is the one who sent her, not some elite drug dealer. Her mom sent her medicine that she needed to live. She didn't know it was legal. Her mom didn't know it was illegal, and she's so very sorry. She has ADHD. She'll find some other way to deal with it. But the public's like, no, there's no such thing as ADHD. You're lying. You're lying to take illegal drugs and sell it to children. You're a crazy witch who's addicted to drugs, and you just want us to let you do drugs in our country. What kind of level of ignorance is that? And then they now turn around and say, oh, but mental health. Then what mental health are you talking about? Like, she has to take drugs for PTSD and ADHD, but you're going to then, like, they more than bullied her. They added a new layer of PTSD on top of her already traumatic experience as a child. I don't even know, like, what happens to Brad Bum is very unfortunate. And the second instance of pure ignorance and mental health that has taken place in Korea is what happened with Jonghyun, and rest in peace, Jonghyun. This man had like deep depression. He had clinical depression. He didn't have seasonal depression. He didn't have like, oh, I'm depressed because of like my job or something. No, he has been depressed for as long as he can remember, since he was a child, and has tried multiple suicide attempts. But did they keep him on suicide watch? No. I remember reading his suicide letter, and they talked about what his psychiatrist had said to him when he was talking to them, you know, because they're trained professionals. They're supposed to help somebody who wants to kill themselves not kill themselves, and give them like actually good medicine and advice to help them. No, his psychiatrist tells him, oh, why would you want to kill yourself? Your life is so good. Think of all the people that want you to be happy. And he's like, okay, I'll try that. I'll try doing that. Like, you know, I mean, this depression thing, all my other friends got over their depression. I can too. Little did he know that the psychiatrist he had is not equipped correctly, because that's not what you tell somebody with depression. It makes them feel worse and makes them further wants to kill themselves, and makes them on top of that guilty, but also makes them not give a fuck about killing themselves, because they'll just feel like, hey, the world would be better off without me causing all this trouble for people. Then on top of that, his psychiatrist goes and tells him, how about you just try to be happy? As though every morning he wakes up and decides, I'm going to be miserable today. Are you kidding? When I read that, I'm like, this is a trained professional with a license and a degree who has been entrusted to take care of somebody else's child, and this is the best you can do for them. Like, I'm pretty sure Jonghyun was paying that dude mad money too, so he's probably like a good psychiatrist apparently. But Jesus Christ, this is the best they have. Like, do they have research on this? Do people talk about this publicly? Like, is it a joke there? Like, when they say mental health reasons, do they mean somebody was having a bad day, they need to have a little cry it out and they'll be fine the next day? That's fucked. That's fucked up. I feel like Korea needs to have a really important like mind, like just change their entire outlook on mental health, mental disorders, and medication and drugs. Because just punishing people, treating them as criminals, and being so aloof with mental health it just makes everything worse. It's kind of disgusting, and it's just tragic. At this point, what happened to Hanbin, I'm not surprised. I'm really not. It sucks that it has to be him. He lives in Korea. They're not gonna be understanding. It's not like when Demi Lovato, who's a freaking cocaine addict, she's out here trying to get better for her fans. Her fans are saying, "You can do it. Like, go to rehab. We believe in you." They understand. Like, drug addiction is also a mental health issue, and they understand that it's a disease and that it's not something that you can just wake up and get over. And they're waiting for her. They're patient with her. I mean, some assholes are like just make fun of her for her relapses and stuff. But it's a discussion here in the U.S. It's like something that we take deeper than, no, you're a damn criminal, go to jail. Like, it's a discussion, and it's something that we're actually trying to help people with. But in Korea, there's no. I'm not saying it should be forgiving to like criminals, and I'm not saying that kids should be allowed to do drugs or they should even make drugs legal. I'm saying that there needs to be like they need to reinvent their definition of harmful substances and what can get somebody in trouble. Because for Hanbin to face this level of consequence for choosing not to do drugs, it almost sounds like a parody, like a joke, because he didn't do anything. He chose the right choice. If he chose to do drugs, would it have been worse than losing everything? Doesn't that mean he should have just done drugs anyway and then just, like, it's the same result? So I don't understand exactly what kind of message that's supposed to be sent to the public by him losing everything he ever worked for since he was a child just because he chose not to do drugs. That is really sad, and it sucks. It's just really, it sucks. So that has been my little spiel, my little rant about this entire thing. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Do you think that the punishment that he faced was deserving of him saying, nah, I'm too scared to do drugs, I'll find another way to deal with my problems? Or like, do you think there's like a conspiracy going on? Obviously someone's trying to bring YG down, and if they let Hanbin stay, they probably feel like it's gonna cause more problems than it's worth, so they had to let him go, even if he's a big factor of YG. But it's all opinion. We don't know anything. Let's see where YG is going after this. Really sorry for Lehigh to go through this, and Sunmi to like release her new song in the midst of this BS. But technically, she's part of the Black label, not YG, so it could work out for her. Anyway, leave some comments if you want. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.